being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I am constantly in awe that this nation exists. And in writing the Revere books, the Rush Revere books for young people, but just my own intellectual interest in it, I place myself in the present, 2019, and I imagine, say, the Constitutional Convention or the days of the Declaration of Independence a couple hundred, 300 years ago. And I literally am in awe over what the people back then did. It's not enough to call them the intellect that they had, the brains that they had. It's just, they were inspired, and what they created was simply the best place on earth for human existence. It has always been that since the days of our founding. That's always been the direction this country has been on. That's been where we are headed every day, better than the previous day, every year better than the year before it. And it's always been true.
You know, after I did my show this afternoon and I saw a lot of people, not a lot, but there are quite a few people who were upset. Felt like talking about prosperity and wealth was not a good thing. That talking about AI, excuse me, is not a good thing. That it's evil. It's a mark of the beast. And I saw this piece from Rush today, which I saved this morning and said, you know what? I think I know what's going to happen when I do this afternoon show. I'm pretty sure, based on this community we've built, there's going to be quite a few people who are going to do biblical passages and try to obfuscate and get away from reality. And so when I was writing and putting together the show this afternoon, and I remembered what Rush just said, you know, year after year, we have to keep trying to get better. We have to love what this country is, And in turn, we have to love what this country is going to become. And I find it odd that there's still so much resistance to making America great again. You guys all sat through the rallies. You heard all the speeches. But I wonder how many people actually listened. You know, hearing and listening are always two different things. Ask any teacher. They can talk to an entire class. They can all hear her or him. But how many of them actually listen during a class? And so this afternoon I was talking about AI, and I was talking about prosperity, and I'm talking about make America wealthy again. And I still don't understand. Here we are 2 days after the third month of his inauguration. And there's still people who watched everything Trump said for a year, maybe longer. And they still don't understand what he's all about. That there's still something that they're not really sure about. I can't go there. Well, you voted for him. He's doing what he said he was going to do. He said, make America healthy again. Make America wealthy again. He didn't mean certain people. It's not exclusive to a certain group. He wants you all to prosper. He wants to make America that country that Rush Limbaugh just described. That country that should get you emotional and go, this is the only place on earth where we can do what we're supposed to be able to do. And yes, there are factions that are trying to stop us from being like that. There are people who don't want to see that America ever come back. There are people who are actively working against America in our own government and our own judiciary. And so the only people who are going to carry that mantle, because I'm telling you right now, we have a very short period of time. I don't want to be talking to you in 2027 or 2028 where they've got some candidate that they're going to put in place and try to do it all over again. If it doesn't happen now, we're done. I'm not being hyperbolic, not being overly dramatic. If you don't accept the fact that whatever it is that's holding you back from grabbing the reins, whatever it is that's stopping you, you got to let that go. You got to get that out of the way. It's not healthy. You have to look in the mirror and realize, man, I've been programmed, haven't I? Yeah. Yeah, you've been programmed. I know that takes a lot to admit to yourself. That takes just an overwhelming amount of introspection. Now, many of you who read the Bible will go into your rooms, get on your knees and pray, and you will read the Bible faithfully. But are you comprehending what you're reading? It's sort of like what I just said about the teacher. Everybody can hear the teacher. Are they listening? Anybody can read. Are you learning? Are you comprehending? I feel personally, you're going to hear it next, I think it's next Monday, when Scott Bessent does his best to explain to people at TPUSA that prosperity and wealth are good things to strive for. He's going to be talking to a young audience, and I hope they're like sponges. I hope they listen to every single word he says. And if we can stream it, I hope you listen to every single word he says. If you don't want to, don't show up. Don't get in the way of other people's ability to be sponge-worthy. Other people want to learn. I can't even tell you how many DMs I got after this afternoon's show. Even in here, hey, Barry, who is that guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? What were you talking about with those 3 letters, which, by the way, YouTube picked up on, and they dinged me for it. That's got to tell you something. They don't even want us talking about it. Yep. So, I want to continue to bring you videos and messages and news that allow you to see different things that maybe nobody else has ever shown you. And because it's new, it can be kind of scary. It can kind of freak you out. Every show is not going to be like that. This afternoon was like that. This afternoon was a curtain opening moment for some of you in regards to AI and where things are going. And I asked Ashley and SV, I'm like, how's the comments? Because I can't see the comments because I'm talking to you. I'm like, you're like, well, some people are still having a problem. Can't help you. You voted for this man. You took a leap of faith in saying that's the guy who's going to lead us out of here. You listened to Rush Limbaugh probably. You did all the right things, but you're not thinking it applies to you. Why? If you listen to Rush, if you listen to certain people on the radio, if you listen to the president, his family, why is it that you may feel that it's okay for them, not for me? I can't. Well, what I can't answer that question. I don't know. I don't know why people get upset talking about prosperity. It's a good thing. Would you rather talk about disease? Would you rather talk about people, hey, you know what's going to happen if you do this? You're going to get cancer. No, you want positivity. Prosperity and wealth are probably right there in the top 5 in terms of good things to talk about. I would say God, love, and then then family, and then somewhere down in 4, 5, or 6 is prosperity and wealth. It's not way down on the list. You ever notice most divorces are because of what? Yeah, lack of money. Business fails, lack of money. How many people have failed? You don't have to say it in the chat, but how many people have failed at a business and said, okay, that sucked. Did they stop or did they figure out something else to do? See, if you're a fighter and you have a fighter mentality, people can't keep you down. Only you can keep you down. And that sounds like a bumper sticker, but it's true. If tomorrow YouTube said, nope, we don't want you. Well, you know what we would do? Ashley and Robin and I would sit down and we would have a conversation and go, what's our move? Hey, let's go to Rumble. Let's spend some more time on X. Let's do it. Yeah, it would suck. It would absolutely suck if YouTube went away. It wouldn't be the end. You have to adapt. You have to adjust. Because I've accepted that it's okay to be prosperous, and I've accepted that it's okay to make money, as long as you don't hurt anybody else. I just wonder why certain other people haven't. It's very interesting how so many people go to work to get paid, and then are miserable because they go to work and get paid. And then when somebody shows them, hey, listen, you don't have to do all that, you can do this. Oh, no, that's not me. I'm just going to go to work. You sound like Democrats. See, misery loves company. I'm trying to pump you up. Pump you up. Get you to understand there's so much more for you. And if we listen to President Trump as he gets ready to sign all these executive orders, if you haven't seen it, he goes off. He's got like I told you, was it yesterday when Caroline Leavitt was doing a press conference? The next night I said, I think I figured it out why her press conferences are so short. Because they know in a day or two or that same day, they're going to get to talk to him. And he's going to talk. And he went on about so many different things. He even talked about baseball teams and changing their names and how it was idiotic. Ask him the question. He's going to tell you what he feels. And then today, I think it was 4 or 5 executive orders. He just keeps coming. He just keeps coming, and he just keeps coming. Many people said, Barry, how do you do it? How are you doing 2 shows a day, sometimes 2 and 3 hours each? Because I look at him, and I'm like, if he knows and you understand, he understands. He's 78 years old, but I only got this much time to get this done. Otherwise, this country's done. I'm like, all right, get ready, Robin. Love you. Let's go. Answer the call. Answer the call. And what I mean by that is or I should say, answer the bell. You may be tired. You may be upset. You may be older. You may be affirmed, disabled, poor, fixed income. Well, right now, I'm telling you, I am in your corner, and I'm telling you, buckle up. Answer the bell. It's going to ring. Get into the ring. Ding, 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 ding. Calling you. Get off the stool and get in. You ever seen the movie Rocky? Which we all have. There's a line in that movie where he's getting beat pretty bad. It sucks. And he can barely see. He's like, cut me, Mick. Cut me. Because I got to get back out there. I got to get back out there. I can't allow that to beat me. Nope, not going to happen. Because we all depend upon you. See, that's the other part that I think you don't understand. We all depend on you. Because we can't do it alone. This country wasn't built for one person to do it. Yeah, he's one man, but he represents all of us. And he's saying, I need you to answer the bell and get your butt in the ring. Crawl if you have to. Wheel your wheelchair if you have to. Use your cane or your walker if you have to. Do whatever you need to do, but get in the ring and realize this fight isn't going to get won unless all of us make a concerted effort to make it happen. All right, that's all I'm going to say there. I want you guys to get ready because this press conference here is going. It's a long one. It's a long one. I won't interrupt because I hate interrupting President Trump. So I go ahead and give me a couple of minutes. Go ahead and get your cup of coffee, get your footstool, sit back because he just goes off. I mean, he dwarfs Caroline Leavitt in terms of what he does and who he's talking to and who he brings in front of the office here. I put up a poll and I'm amazed because it's like, everybody see this? 76% of people who are watching after how many votes here? After 2,000 votes, 76% of people haven't seen this. So that's why I always show it if it comes on in between shows. I always show it because I'm like, there's people who haven't seen this, who don't know or don't want to have to search around for it. I'm going to show it. All right, so let's get to it. Let's listen to him. After him, I've got some information about Pam Bondi. Oh, some information about Pam Bondi. You guys are going to like this, I think. Maybe. All right, let's listen to President Trump.
I showed a group of wounded veterans who are amazing. I've actually visited many of them in the hospital, and they came out better than me. They came out looking good. If I had that look, I would have been president 20 years ago. I wouldn't have had to wait so long. You look great, fellas. But many of them, I didn't even realize it at the time, but I visited many of you in the hospital. They did an incredible job. The doctors are absolutely unbelievable, the job they do. So we were having a little meeting, and at the same time, we're signing some very important legislation, what will become legislation. And right now, it's an executive order, and having to do mostly with education. We have our Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's been so incredible over the last few weeks. I've been watching her on television. I'd like to tell her she could do better, but she can't. She can't do any better. So I want to thank you, Linda. Fantastic. And we also have Commerce, and we have Labor with us today, and you have been, thank you very, very much. And thank you, Mr. Howard, thank you very much. And we'll take some questions after we're finished. Maybe I'll ask Will to step forward, and you can go through some of these. Also, Lindsay, you work with Will, two very talented lawyers, as you all know by now.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And we'll go through them. And Linda, why don't you come over here? In fact, why don't the three of you come over here?
We also have a special guest with us today, sir.
Oh, that's right. Annette Albright. Where is Annette? Annette Albright. Charlotte Mecklenburg, school teacher. Very special one. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have you. You get all sorts of awards for talent. That's good. Thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, please.
Sir, the first executive order we have prepared for your attention, there are currently laws on the books requiring certain disclosures of universities when they accept large foreign gifts. We believe that certain universities, including, for example, Harvard, have routinely violated this law, and this law has not been effectively enforced. So this executive order charges your departments and agencies with enforcing the laws on the books with respect to foreign gifts to American universities.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll put it right here.
Next for you, sir, university accreditation is currently a process controlled by a number of third-party organizations. That's by statute, by law. Many of those third-party accreditors have relied on sort of woke ideology to accredit universities instead of accrediting based on merit and performance. This executive order affects a number of changes to the university accreditation process, also applies to law schools and other sort of graduate programs. But the basic idea is to force accreditation to be focused on the merit and the actual results that these universities are providing, as opposed to how woke these universities have gotten. So we're setting up new accreditation pathways. We're charging the Department of Education to really look holistically at this accreditation mess and hopefully make it much better.
Will we look into the past people that they've taken? For instance, I hear all about certain great schools, and then we read where they're going to teach people basic math that we can all do very easily, but they can't do. They're going to the top school, and they come out with a program of teaching basic math to somebody that got into a Harvard or a Princeton or a Yale. Is that part of this?
When universities are not performing appropriately, whether that's in admissions or whether that's in their actual instructional activities, that's certainly something that accreditors should be considering, that right now we believe they're not doing a good enough job of, and I think Secretary McMahon could probably speak to that better than I could.
So they're allowing people into school that can't do math, and yet kids who've worked really hard and number one in their class in a high school someplace in New Jersey or in Mississippi, they can't get into the best schools. What is that all about?
Yeah, and I think that gets to your policy, sir, of meritocracy, that we should be looking at those who have real merit to get in, and we have to look harder at those universities that aren't enforcing that.
Okay, thank you. And this pretty much does it, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Sir, during your first administration, you made promoting historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, a major priority. This executive order takes existing law on HBCUs and brings it into effect. We're going to be setting up a White House initiative on HBCUs. The basic idea here is making sure that every aspect of your administration is working to ensure that HBCUs are able to do their job as effectively and as efficiently as possible. This next executive order relates to artificial intelligence education, sir. You've obviously done a lot in the artificial intelligence space already. The basic idea of this executive order is to ensure that we properly train the workforce of the future by ensuring that school children, young Americans are adequately trained in AI tools so that they can be competitive in the economy years from now into the future as AI becomes a bigger and bigger deal.
That's a big deal because AI is where it seems to be at. We have literally trillions of dollars being invested in AI. And somebody today, a very smart person, said that AI is the way to the future. I don't know if that's right or not, but certainly very smart people are investing in it heavily.
I don't know if he was watching my show earlier or not, but those of you who wondered, it was kind of weird, isn't it? That way I was talking about it, now he's signing an executive order to teach the youngins about AI. Some of y'all should be mad and like hitting them up. Wait a minute. How do I get some remedial training? I'm not in school anymore. I want to know about AI. Because he's signing an order right now to make the initiative to teach people about AI. Because, well, quote, it's a really big deal. Wow. Thank you, President Trump. I did not know he was going to do that. They didn't publish that anywhere, that we're going to sign an executive order to teach people about AI. Thanks, boss. Thank you very much. Thanks for the exclamation point and the underscore. Now you know. If you didn't know before this afternoon, thanks, guy. It's right there in front of you. The man is signing an executive order to help teach kids about AI. What? I actually said those words. I actually said those words. It's coming. It's not an if, it's coming.
Next year, we have an executive order on workforce development. This executive order is going to charge numerous departments and agencies within the government to reshape the way that we do workforce development. One example from the executive order, for instance, we're looking to get the total number of apprenticeships, new apprenticeships, up to 1 million in the country, to ensure that in critical jobs areas, in areas where we currently don't have enough trained workers, that we're recreating that pipeline to ensure that, particularly as we onshore industrial jobs and new industries, that those industries have the workforce they need to be competitive globally.
Oh, this is getting eerie. Like, when I was watching this, I'm like, huh? Oh, so remember we were talking about who's going to build the data centers and who's going to build the nuclear power plants, and he just signed an executive order to begin training people for the jobs of the future. This is eerie. It's happening. I sit back and I go, oh my gosh, it's happening. If you didn't see this afternoon show, go watch this afternoon show and then come back and go to 27 minutes in here, 26 minutes, and see if it doesn't just dovetail off of it, where you're like, oh, he said that this afternoon. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. Not saying that at all. I'm saying it because, well, I guess I am. I'll shut up.
Very important.
And this is the EO that we're all here working together.
And in a way, this is like a training center, right, for what we're trying to do, which is jobs and great salaries. These are great salaries, too.
Right, it's exactly. So all those factories that you're bringing in because of your trade policy, we're going to train people in trade craft, bring back trade craft to America so that people can work in these factories with great paying jobs, and we're going to train them, and we're going to remake the American dream for all these people. We're working together.
That's right.
Right, Lori?
Absolutely. This plays right into America at Work Tour, which I have kicked off. We will work with our state partners and work with our businesses to see exactly who they need in that workforce, and we will skill and upskill these apprentices so they can get right to work and get in the field and build back this economy for exactly living the American dream. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Next, sir.
By the way, that's the new Secretary of Labor. I forget her full name. But, you see? So, earlier this afternoon, I was talking about you follow the breadcrumbs. And I'm telling you, this guy is laying it out there for you to see where things are going. Bing, bada bing, bada bing. You could literally just walk through a roadmap and go, oh, you're going to do this. Oh, okay. Oh, I see where you can see where he's going at this point. Any of you who have listened to earlier and some of the other stuff I've mentioned to you, you can actually see the roadmap at this point. You don't even need a GPS. He's telling you, this is where we're going. Howard Lutnick, yeah, jobs of the future. The other ones aren't coming back. We're going to have some factories, but what do you think he's talking about? He's talking about running the machines, running the robotics, running the automation. And they're going to be training people. And what did he say? Good paying jobs, $100,000 jobs. They're going to need lots of people. Be ready.
have an executive order on school discipline policies. Under, I believe it was the Biden administration, first Obama and then Biden, the Department of Justice issued guidance that made it almost impossible for schools to enforce adequate disciplinary policies. This created issues in the classroom for teachers and students alike. Basically, they focused on CRT and sort of diversity ideology instead of actually just enforcing the rules in classrooms to ensure a safe learning environment. This executive order revokes that prior guidance and puts us back in a place where hopefully the Department of Education can focus on education and teachers can focus on teaching in a safe environment.
And this was important for you, Linda, as I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely, because it gives teachers the authority now to have discipline in their classroom and discipline the person who is being disruptive. We took that away.
Okay. Thanks. You, Linda, you should hold that.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order on disparate impact theory. This is a theory that underlies a lot of the modern DEI and CRT-driven diversity culture. The basic idea here is instructing your departments and agencies to no longer rely on disparate impact theory as they're regulating, as they're issuing guidance, as they're making rules. We want to focus on results. We want to focus on actual fairness. We want to focus on merit, not things like disparate impact theory and the whole sort of diversity, equity, and inclusion cult.
It's getting out of that, huh?
Yes, sir.
After being in that jungle for a long time. Okay. Thank you. Very good job.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Appreciate it.
Very much. Would you like to introduce again Annette, and perhaps Annette wants to say something having to do with that? Annette is right here.
Yes, Annette. Yes, please come over. Would you like to have some comments to make? I know you're a former Charlotte Mecklenburg school teacher. I'm a North Carolina girl, so it's nice to see you. Yes, from New Bern.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. This has been an 8-year journey for me to raise awareness to the violence that's in public schools and the critical need to address violence in public schools. Again, been doing it 8 years because most administrations like to keep the violence hidden. We have 3 students that should be here with us today. We have Austin McCalf, I'm sorry if I say his name wrong, Serenity Baker, and Nizir Taylor from Charlotte, North Carolina, who was shot in the back as he was getting off of a school bus because they thought he was a part of a big brawl that happened inside a public high school. So this is very important and critical legislation that we have to keep our educators safe, we have to keep our students safe, and public schools have to be safe environments. So I think, like I said, I've done this journey alone, I've been on it, but I have a whole team behind me now. I spoke at the RNC and I told millions that Donald Trump and his administration was going to make schools great again, and I feel that we're on the right path, and I'm just honored to be here.
Thank you. To our great vets that are with us, and is it okay if I give her one? What do you think?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. What an honor.
Great job. Could I ask Sarah to speak, Verardo?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about these great gentlemen.
These heroes, Mr. President, are extraordinary. This is my husband, Michael, and so many of our dear, dear friends who are here today. Many of them have met you, sir, in your first administration in the hospital, many times at Walter Reed.
Right.
And they've had long recoveries. Tomorrow, for my husband, marks 15 years since he was wounded in Afghanistan. Wow. And on that day, about 6 years ago, he had his 120th surgery post-Afghanistan.
Wow.
And you came to see him at Walter Reed. And so many others. And we saw great reform in the VA. Access, same-day access to prosthetics, mental health care, and we know that that is back. We're going to, these gentlemen were saying, Alex here earlier was saying, in the last few years when he's gone to get a wheelchair, the VA has asked him, this gentleman, they've asked him to prove that he still has his injuries, as though maybe his limbs would grow back. And they unfortunately did not. Yes, and we've seen that many times. And so we're excited for you bringing back the VA accountability, Mission Act, community care, that were the hallmark of your first term. And we're so excited, sir, to be here. We're honored to be here. And thank you for all you do for our nation's heroes.
Thank you. Who's that picture on there?
That is Joe Biden, and it says, "Let's go, Brandon."
I'm saying, what was that picture? That's great.
I told him he wasn't allowed to ask you to sign it.
That's very good. Well, thank you all very much. Would you like to say anything, fellas? There's a big chance you have a lot of good people watching that believe in you. They happen to be the media, but they believe very much in you like I do. Anybody?
Mr. President, we're very happy with the energy that this administration is bringing, and it's an administration that does what it promises, and so we're behind you. We believe in you, and I think we all love you. We got to speak for everyone.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to get you a better hat. Say a better hat. That's a good one. That was the original.
It was.
That means he was there.
I've been wearing it before it was cool.
That's right. That's an early one. We'll save that one though, right?
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anybody, please?
I'd like to say.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say thank you for loving America, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Very nice. Thank you very much. True. Thank you.
Sort of Bennett just spoke, saved Michael Broder's life. And of course, he goes immediately to say thank you, as he was the one that saved Michael Broder, put him on the helicopter, and got him off the combat zone.
Wow.
So, selflessness of these men is unspeakable.
Thank you.
That's great. See ya.
Yeah, he's alive because of that man right here.
Well, these are amazing people, great heroes. So that's really great. Anybody else? Yes.
I'd like to say it was an honor to serve. You are worth it. This country's worth it. It's because of what Christ paid for.
Thank you. And we have a spirit that people haven't seen in many years, at least 5. They haven't seen. I think even then, because we've been through so much for the last 4 years together, it was so bad. It was so bad what they've done to the borders, what they've done all over the place, and it's really an honor to be with you, all of you. Incredible. And I'm going to give you these coins. And I think you're going to really like them. I think they're the best. These are the best coins. And you have your choice. This is gunmetal. I don't know, soldiers like the black, but I think you like this one. It's okay. A lot of soldiers like the black. Here you go. What do you like?
I'll go with black.
Huh? See, I told you. These are choices.
I'll take a black one, sir.
Okay, look at this. Oh, that rarely happens. You're different, huh?
Take a black one, sir.
Oh,
There you go.
that's great.
Call the military.
No, but isn't it? I always say the soldiers, they do like it's gunmetal. What do we like here?
That's what I heard, that it was
I think
good.
the Trump gold is
I'm giving him 2.
We have 3 girls.
One
We're
for
going to
this one
fight.
right here. We'll get another one. Okay. This is actually fun.
I'll take the gold, Mr. President.
Okay. I thought you were going to take that gold. Okay.
Gold one, sir.
Okay. You got it.
I had an opportunity to sail across the Gulf of America 2 days after you named it right.
Oh, wow. It's been an honor. And now people say it routinely.
Yep.
They don't even think about the other. They say it routinely. That's been a great honor for me. Okay.
Take a gold one.
Okay. It's almost even. I think gold is an edge.
I would love a gold one, sir.
Thank you so much. I think the gold, it picked up at the end, right? So you all okay? That's good. So I want to thank you very much, and especially that's a great story. Huh? So what do you think of a guy like that? Pretty good.
We actually, we all served together.
Wow.
And Jared over there.
And Jared over there.
So you guys, got hit, huh? Pretty good. You got hit.
Pretty good.
Amazing.
We're in a pretty tough area in Kandahar, in the Arkansas River Valley, right outside Kandahar.
Their unit had a more than 50% Purple Heart rate, sir.
Wow.
In 2010.
You deserve it. You deserve that and more. We appreciate it so much. Brave, really brave. brilliant people. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions of the guys here?
I want to say thank you to the veterans who are here. Thank you so much for defending us. And then I wanted to ask you, Mr. President, because you said you want to bring the tariffs on China down soon. How soon do you want to bring the tariffs on Chinese goods down?
Well, it depends on them. We have a situation where we have a very, very great place. It's called the United States of America, and it's been ripped off for years and years. These people know it. We talked about it before you came in. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, practically, and friend and foe. And we're not doing that anymore. So what's happened is Howard, how many countries have we spoken to already? 90. And they all want to make deals, and we're going to make deals, but they're going to be fair deals. They're not going to be rip-off deals. And we were losing almost $5 billion a year. No country can do that. And now we have it down almost to even, maybe even better than even, because of the tariffs on cars and aluminum and steel. We have tariffs 25% on cars, aluminum, and steel. There's a rush to build new steel plants, a rush to build new aluminum plants, and a biggest rush that we've ever seen to build car plants. We have like 11 of them or something, big ones, where you guys maybe work. Maybe you won't want to work, you'll do something else instead of that. But if you like cars, you'd like to work at one of these plants, the biggest plants in the world. 3 of them have left Mexico before construction started, 1 of them during construction. And they're coming to this country. They're coming back. Don't forget, and we get along great with Mexico, but Mexico took 32% of our car building business. So it's amazing what's happened. Remember this number, anywhere from $3 to $5 billion a day. That's not $1 million, that's $1 billion a day. Nobody can even imagine it. And that's what we were losing. And, hence we have $36 trillion in debt and everything else. And in the end, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have great deals. And by the way, if we don't have a deal with a company or a country, we're going to set the tariff. We just set the tariff. It's something that we think that will happen, I'd say, over the next couple of weeks. What do you say? I think so. Over the next 2-3 weeks. We'll be setting the number.
For China.
And we're going to pick, could be for China too, could be for China. Well, we're dealing with almost all of them. Too many to fully deal with, but we're going to be fair to them. But we're dealing with a lot of countries right now. And, could be with China, but maybe we'll make a special, a deal. And we'll see what it will be. Right now it's 145%. That's very high. It got there because of the fentanyl. They're sending, massive amounts of fentanyl into our country and killing a lot of people, probably 200,000 plus a year, wiping them out. You probably all have friends that were killed. Somebody was killed in your family or your friends with fentanyl, and somehow it's made almost exclusively in China. And as you know, we essentially taxed them 10 and then another 10. We also taxed Mexico 25 and we taxed Canada 25. And that's the kind of money that's what's pouring into our country right now. And it's gotten us down from losing $3 to $5 billion a day to actually making money, but breaking even, let's say, but we're going to make a lot of money. And that money is going to be used to reduce taxes. We're going to get big tax breaks. We're going to, there was a time, I said it this morning, I think some of you were there, there was a time from 1870 to 1913, it was a long time ago, we were an all-tariff nation. Foreign nations paid taxes. They paid money to us in the form of tariffs. And that was when we were the wealthiest. We were the wealthiest proportionately that we ever were. And they formed committees in 1887 in particular, but they formed committees to determine what we should do with all the money. We had so much money, you guys would have loved it. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do with it. We gave it away to different causes, and you haven't seen that too much anymore, although we give plenty away, but now we shouldn't be giving it away. We have to take care of ourselves first, right?
Absolutely.
But we were very wealthy, and proportionately the wealthiest we ever were. We built the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter gave that away for $1, by the way. One of the most profitable things ever built, the Panama Canal. We gave it away for $1 to Panama. Why? I don't know. Nobody knows, but that's what we had. We had people like that sitting behind this desk. And that shouldn't have happened. Panama Canal, It was the most expensive thing ever built by our country in history. I'm talking relative dollars. We've never built anything so expensive. I think it was the equivalent of $1.7 billion. And we've never built anything like that. We built a lot of things, but never so expensive. Then we started building other things. We had a lot of money to do it, all based on foreign countries coming in and paying us tariffs. And we're doing that again, and I think we're going to make so much that we're going to be able to reduce taxes in this country by a lot. And we're also going to...
There's a reason why he keeps saying it. Even he acknowledged. Yeah, I said this afternoon. There's two reasons. Two reasons why he keeps saying it. And you guys have to realize it at this point. First and foremost, because he can't reach out and shake the media's heads and say, can you guys talk about this? Because he has said it for almost a year on the campaign trail. Hey, listen, this is what the result is. This is why we're doing it. We're making $5 billion a day. The whole idea is to come in so we can reduce taxes. You think everybody in the room would be like, woo-hoo-hoo. Excuse me, did you hear me? I want to reduce your taxes. So he has to keep saying it because they don't get excited about it. They don't even report on it. You won't see anybody. You won't even see, other than like people on the right, you won't see anybody on the left even show that clip. Oh my God, reduce taxes? Oh, that's heresy. The second reason he does it is because repeating a message over and over and over, just like they're doing with the crazy El Salvador, Maryland man, he needs you to hear it. This is what our objective is. This is why we're doing this. Because you're not hearing it anywhere else. You can go the entire day, watch any television program you want, even Fox, and they're not telling you what's the objective with these tariffs. I don't really care if stuff is more expensive in the short term. I don't care what we're doing here. The objective is to make so much money we can lower your taxes. Why aren't people screaming that off the rooftop? That's his objective. And the media just stands there like, it's ridiculous.
Treat those countries very fairly. But if we don't make a deal, which is possible, we're going to just set the price. Because you remember, they have to come in, they want to come in here, and they want to do business with the United States. So we want to set a fair price, and we'll do that. We're going to be very fair, but we'll set a fair price. And then they can make a determination as to whether or not they want to do business with the United States. And I think most of them will. And I think we're going to treat them very fairly.
Were you worried about what the 145% tariffs were doing to small businesses here in the U.S.? Is that why you're bringing it down?
No, I haven't brought it down. I haven't brought it. Still 145. I haven't brought it down. I said it's a high tariff. It is a high tariff, but I haven't brought it down. It basically means China's not doing any business with us, essentially, because it's a very high number. So when you add that to the price of a product, a lot of those products aren't going to sell. But China's not doing any business. They were doing $1.1 trillion. Think of that, $1.1 trillion. You know what that is? And it was just very unfair to us. And we were doing very little, relatively very little with them. It was a one-sided, very one-sided. But we get along. I get along very well with President Xi, and I hope we can make a deal. Otherwise, we'll set a price, and hopefully they'll come here and they'll contribute. And if they don't, that's okay.
So on your trip to Rome, there's a lot of leaders attending the Pope's funeral who also said they'd like to meet with you while you're there. Do you have any meetings set up?
Yes, I do. I have a lot of meetings set up. I don't know if I can do it. Do you want to help me out, fellas? I got a lot of meetings. I got every leader in the world, which tells you that we have a good product. It's called the United States of America, and it's great. And these people know about it better than anybody in this room. But we have a great place, and it should be a lot greater. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it greater than ever before. It's very simple.
Who are you going to be meeting with, President Zelensky?
Well, I have a lot of meetings set up. Yeah.
Okay. And are you bringing anyone with you in the U.S. delegation to the funeral, like Secretary Rubio or a former president?
We have a couple of people coming. We'll announce it probably this evening or tomorrow. First Lady's going, and some people are coming with me from staff. But we'll have a number of people going. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful ceremony.
I have one on Ukraine, but I wanted to ask you one about veterans since they are here today, and thank you for your service and sacrifice. I wanted to ask you about the cuts that have been made, including with the VA. Can you assure that veterans like these men here, those that have been suffering from mental health issues or burn pits, for example, will be taken care of even
very
with
much
the cuts?
so. In fact, they will tell you it's been better with me than any president in history. We had a 92% approval rating, which is unheard of, up 50 points from the previous administration in my first 4 years, and we're doing better now. And in fact, now they have something, the call-in doctor stuff, where it's really become, modernized and great, where you don't have to go and travel sometimes long distances to get to a clinic or get to the VA. And I just heard this morning, I was listening to Doug Collins, who's the secretary, who was being interviewed, and the numbers are incredible. The approval ratings are the highest I've never heard numbers like this. It's better than the first 4 years. So no, there's no group of people more important than the people in this room. And I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about these people right here. There's no group, and they're going to be taken really well care of. It's very important to me.
And on the war in Ukraine, are you going to be meeting with President Zelensky? He's asked to meet with you this weekend. Will you be meeting with him this weekend?
I don't know that he's going to the funeral or not, but I just hope he gets this thing solved, because we're losing about, think of this, 5,000. I was saying 2,500, and everyone was telling me that's low. 5,000 soldiers are being killed every week, approximately. Think of that. Every week, 5,000 soldiers. But let's say from 3,000 to 5,000 are being killed. They're Russian and Ukrainian. They're not Americans, but they're Russian, but they're people. And they're humans. They're human beings. They have families. They wave goodbye to their son, and then they get a call that the son's no longer there. It's a vicious war. And if I can help solve it, we're not losing our soldiers, but we're losing soldiers, a lot of people. And if I can solve it because of a certain ability, that would be great. And if it doesn't happen, I will say that I think Russia is ready. And a lot of people said Russia wanted to go for the whole thing. And I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky. And I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far it's been harder. But that's okay. It's all right. But I think we have a deal with both. I hope they do it, because I'm looking to save. And, we spend a lot of money, but this is about a lot of humanity. This is the worst. I get the pictures, the satellite pictures. I've never seen anything like it, of the fields after some of these battles. It's horrible that it's going for nothing. We would have never had this problem. You would have never had that war if I were president. I guarantee you that. And for 4 years, you didn't have it.
Are you going to meet with Vladimir Putin?
Please.
Are you going to meet with Vladimir Putin?
I will be meeting
in
with
Saudi Arabia?
It's possible, but most likely not. I think we'll meet with him shortly thereafter.
What is Mr. Whitlock going to present to the
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, during the Biden administration in the campaign, with inflation raging, he lowered interest rates 2 times. Now, with 2 consecutive months of inflation being down, all economic theory you learn in the 8th grade says it's time to cut rates when inflation is down. He's not done that. Have you had any direct conversation with him?
No, I haven't called him. I might call him. I haven't called him, but I believe he's making a mistake by not lowering interest rates. And I think as well as we're doing, we'd do much better. He's keeping rates too high. He historically has been late, except when it came to Biden. He was recommended by a certain person that I'm not particularly happy with, but he will hopefully do the right thing. The right thing is to lower interest rates, so we'll see what happens. I think we're sitting on something that's going to be very good. With all the tariff money starting to come in, our country's going to be doing really well, and hopefully he'll be doing. We don't have inflation. Groceries are down. When I first came in, people were there. They hit me with the first day that I was president. Somebody started screaming at me that eggs are up. I said, I just got here. And in the first week, they were going crazy. You remember that, Linda? Yes. They were going crazy. They're saying egg prices are too. I said, I'm here for 1 week. Just leave me alone. This is the fake news. And I said, what can I tell you? But Brooke Rollins, our Secretary of Agriculture, and a group working with her have done an amazing job. Egg prices have gone down 87%. Energy now is down $65 a barrel. They have some energy selling gasoline for less than $2 in a couple of states. Alabama, a couple of great states, but all over the country, it's way down from what it was 6 months ago, 3 months ago. And that has a lot to do with the war. When Biden allowed energy to skyrocket, it just skyrocketed. It was out of control. Russia made a lot more money because they make their money on energy. And I kept saying, he supposedly wants to end the war, but he lets energy go out of control. Well, I've gotten it. We are drilling like crazy right now, and we have it down to $65 a barrel. It went up to almost $100 a barrel. And at that number, Putin and Russia made a lot of money. So I think one of the reasons, I think he has a certain respect for me. But one of the big reasons is oil prices are down. I think this is a good time to get the war settled. Thank you.
One more question.
Thank you for that question.
For those of us that live here in the district, you said when you came in you were going to make Washington, D.C. great again.
Right.
One of the issues we've got right now is we understand there might be an imminent deal between the owner of the Washington football team, whatever you want to call them now, Commanders, and locally in getting the Redskins back to D.C. and RFK Stadium. That's on federal property.
Right.
Are you going to be involved in that negotiation?
Yeah.
And would one of the stipulations be they changed their name back to the Redskins?
Oh, I say, well, that's a little bit, nobody's asked me that one. Look, I think when the Indian population is a great part of this country, great heritage. And we were talking about Massapequa, Long Island, the Chiefs, they call themselves the Chiefs. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're not changing their name. A great team, great people, great owners, great coach and quarterback. I love the quarterback, like his girlfriend too, and his wife. His wife is great. She's been a big fan. His quarterback's mother is incredible. I like that team. They're called the Chiefs, and frankly, I see nothing wrong with it. They call them the Warriors, and not that team, but a lot of other teams, and all of these Indian surnames and different names. And I'm saying that I think that's a positive thing. And when you go back to Indians, they poll this. They don't know why these names are being taken off. They're trying to. I think it's degrading to the Indian population, and it's a great population, and they like when they're called by various names. Now, Washington. The Redskins, perhaps that's a little bit different, but I can tell you that I spoke to people of Indian heritage that love that name and they love that team, and I think it's I think it's a superior name to what they have right now, and it had heritage behind it, it had something special. But a lot of the names having to do with, different places, not just Indians, but I think they changed the name of the Cleveland Indians. Why would you take the name Indians off the Cleveland Indians? And now it's called the Cleveland something else.
Guardians.
Right? Guardians. It just doesn't make sense to me. So we're about bringing common sense back to this country. And it may be popular or unpopular what I'm saying, and I've just said to you, he's a nice guy. He got a lot out of me on this one, but I think most people agree with me. I think it really is demeaning to Indians. But to change the name of the Cleveland Indians, as an example, to the Cleveland Guardians, is not the same, and I'm sure it has an impact on the team.
Sir, thank you, sir. Elon Musk said he'll be stepping back from his work with Doge a little bit and only be dedicating maybe a day or two a week to it. How long would you like to see that continue, and how involved would you like to see him continue to be after?
Well, first of all, I can't speak more highly about any individual. He's an incredible guy. He's a brilliant guy. He's a wonderful person. I've seen him with his family. I've seen him with a lot of his children. He's got a lot of children. He treats them good. He loves his children. But he's a brilliant guy, and he was a tremendous help, both in the campaign and in what he's done with Doge. And, we're talking about almost $200 billion and rising fast, because many of the things that we were looking at are now being found out to be fact. It's terrible. I mean, the fraud, the waste, the abuse, everything that's happened is just terrible. So I also know that he was treated very unfairly by the I guess you'd call it the public, by some of the public, not by all of it. I say he makes an incredible car, makes everything he does is good. But they took it out on Tesla, and I just thought it was so unfair because he's trying to help the country. But he has helped the country. I also want him to make sure that he's going to be in great shape, and I know he is. I mean, he's going to do great. He loves the country. He didn't need to do this. He did it. And I told him, I said, whenever you're ready, I'd like to keep him for a long time, but whenever you're ready, he's an exceptional guy. When you see those rockets go up and come back and land in the same gantry, nobody else can do that but this man. So he's just an incredible person, and he's a friend of mine, and he's a nice person, too. He's a very nice person. He really helped the country, saved us a lot of money. And I heard him say that he'll start easing, he was always at this time going to ease out. And when he goes back to Tesla, that'll be taken care of. It's artificial. These were sick people that thought they were doing something. He's a great patriot, and it shouldn't be the way. That should never have happened to him. And I will tell you right now, he makes a great product. He makes a great product. It's a great car. It's great everything. Starlink is great. What he does is good. He's doing medical things that are amazing. And we have to, at some point, let him go and do that. And we expect him to be doing it about this time. But I'll talk to Elon about it. Thank you for the question.
So, the second question. Canada has an election coming up. Do you have a prediction for that, and what do you think the results of
with
that
respect to Canada?
With the negotiations?
Oh, I don't want to predict other nations' elections. It's tough enough doing this one. Look, I love the Canadian people. I like Canada, but it's costing us $200 billion a year to support Canada. $200 billion. And I say, why are we doing that? You know what? We can make our own cars. We have more energy than they do. We have more energy than anybody in the world. We don't need their lumber, obviously. We have more lumber. We have a lot of lumber. We have a lot of everything that they sell us. But in particular cars, they took a large percentage of the car making, and I want to bring it back to this country. I really don't want cars from Canada. So when I put tariffs on Canada, they're paying 25%, but that could go up in terms of cars. When we put tariffs on, all we're doing is we're saying we don't want your cars in all due respect. We want really to make our own cars, which is what we're doing in record numbers now. We're going to be at record levels in a very near future because of all the plants, the car plants that are being built. And I'd rather see them made in Michigan and made in South Carolina and made in different states, Tennessee. We have a lot of great car-making states, and we have some that aren't car-making yet, but they will soon be car-making states. And that's what I want to see for our country. At the same time, I want to help Canada. I have spoken to the current Prime Minister. He was very, very nice, I will say. Very nice. We had a couple of very nice conversations, very good. But I don't think it's appropriate for me to get involved in their election.
Mr. President, if I may, this deal that you have with Russia, does it include recognizing Russia's sovereignty over Crimea?
Well, everything is good. Look, I just want to see the war end. I don't care. If they're both happy, they both sign an agreement. I have no favorites. I don't want to have any favorites. I want to have a deal done. I want to save the lives. Now, with that being said, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars through Biden. Biden should have never let that war happen. We're spending hundreds of billions, maybe $350 billion we've given to Ukraine. And we could use that money right here. So I'd like to see that. But most importantly right now is when I see the pictures, the satellite pictures of the battlefield, if I can stop that because of an ability I have to do things, I want to see if I can do that.
Mr. President, on tariffs, you just mentioned that 25% could go up on cars in terms of Canada. Does that mean that you're considering changes to the auto tariffs and auto parts?
No, we're not considering it now, but at some point it could go up, yeah, because, again, we don't really want Canada to make cars for us, to put it bluntly. We want to make our own cars, and we're now equipped to do that. They took a lot of our car business. Mexico, too, took a lot of our car business. We want to make the cars here. I'm running this country. I'm not running Canada. And that's why I asked Trudeau, who I call Governor Trudeau affectionately, but I asked him, why are we spending $200 billion to support Canada, to subsidize Canada? And he was unable to answer the question. I mean, why are we doing that? And I have to be honest, as a state, it works great. As a nation, considering the fact that most of the nation, 95% of Canada, what they do is they buy from us and they sell to us. They sell to us. If we didn't buy their oil, and we don't need their oil. We have more oil than anyone, but we don't need their oil. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need anything. So I said, why are we doing this? Why are we spending $200 billion? It doesn't make sense. If we needed something, that would be a different subject. So I'm working well with Canada. We're doing very well. We're working on a deal. We'll see what happens. But again, why, representing this country, why are we spending $200 billion to support and subsidize another country? Because if they didn't have us, and if we didn't spend that money, as Trudeau told me, they would cease to exist. He said that to me. They would cease to exist, which is true, certainly as a country.
And then on tourism, there's been a steep drop-off in international travel to the United States. It was down 12% last month, down even more from Western Europe. Why do you think that there are fewer people suddenly who want to travel to the United States?
Well, there could be a little, there's a little nationalism there, I guess, perhaps. It's not a big deal, but, with the dollar being where it is, because, China would always fight for having a low dollar. Japan would always fight for having a low dollar, meaning a low yen, or in the case of China, the yuan. They'd always want to have I'd speak to President Xi a lot. I'd say it's unfair that your yuan is so low. I'd call up a great man, Prime Minister Abe, great man, Shinzo, who was unfortunately assassinated. And I used to tell you, he was a good friend of mine, I used to say, Shinzo, you can't let your yen go down. It makes it very hard for us to sell tractors. It makes it very hard to us to get tourism. And our dollar is a little bit on the low side, and that means that a lot of tourism is going to come in. But I could see a little bit of nationalism at work, and I could see it likewise with us not wanting to go to certain countries, but that will work out very easily.
Do you think some people are scared to come here because they hear the stories of tourists who are detained for a few days or even a week or two?
No, we treat our tourists great. We're the tourism capital.
I didn't want to break in, but what the hell is she talking about? I mean, seriously, the tourists that are detained for a week or so? Oh my God. I've said it many times. You have the opportunity to ask the President of the United States a question, and you think tourists are afraid to come here? One of the other reporters should have grabbed her like, hey, come on, honey. We're going to take you outside, okay?
Of the world. There's no place like this. And there may be a little bit of nationalism, but I doubt it. I actually doubt it, yeah.
Mr. President, has there been any direct contact between the U.S. and China on trade at all?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And
every day.
Every day. And then secondly, would you support a millionaire tax?
I think it would be very disruptive because a lot of the millionaires would leave the country. In the old days, they left states. They go from one state to the other. Now with transportation so quick and so easy, they leave countries. You'll lose a lot of money if you do that. And other countries that have done it have lost a lot of people. They lose their wealthy people. That would be bad because the wealthy people pay the tax. Okay?
So how did the talks today go in London? Do you think that the asks from Ukraine and
I think they went well. I mean, we got to get two strong people, two smart people to agree. And as soon as they agree, the killing will stop. But I think they went well. Pretty well.
So we understand that your economic team, many of them are here today, J.D. Vance, has negotiated what's called a monster trade deal with India, like biggest one ever. Can you share with us what some of the framework of that might be?
You said England.
India.
India?
India.
Oh.
Muslim.
They're not very complicated, these deals. It's about the tariffs. India charges almost more than any other country in the world. And believe it or not, we do very little business with India, other than the fact that I like the Prime Minister very much. He's a friend of mine. He was here 2 weeks ago, as you know. And we stood right outside at a news conference. Unfortunately, the grass was very wet. It was very hard for people to stand on the grass. They got their shoes all ruined. But other than that, it was a very good news conference. And he's a great guy. But we do very little business. You know why? Because their tariffs are so high. They have among the highest tariffs, higher than China. They have among the highest tariffs in the world. And I understand they're going to reduce those tariffs, but it's really sort of their problem, not ours. We do very, very little purchasing in India because and selling. We do very little selling. I mean, Harley Davidson, I said, how are you doing in India? This is about 6 years ago. They came to lunch as a great American company. They make the motorcycles, and I said, how are you doing in India, as an example? Well, we don't do any business there. Why? Because the tariffs are too high. I said, that's interesting. Well, what are you going to do? He said, well, we're going to build a plant in India, and that's what they did. I don't want that to happen. They were forced to build a plant. Well, essentially what we're doing is the same thing. Remember, there's no tariff when they build their plant here, and everybody wants to build because they don't want. And the higher the tariffs go, the more likely it is they come in and build a plant. You know, I mean, if it's 25%, that's fine. If it's 50%, you get more plants. 75, you get more. At 100, you get more than that. And they're all coming in at numbers that I don't think, Howard, there's ever been numbers like we've seen.
No.
$7-8 trillion worth in 2 months. Because it took me a month to get started, in all fairness. But in 2 months, we did this, and now we're coming up on 100 days, first 100 days, and I think we're going to be close to $8 trillion. There was never any president that did even a tiny percentage of that. Okay, any other questions?
Sure. One of the deals signed by your 100-day mark, and China is saying that we're threatening and blackmailing them into a deal. What would be your response?
Well, I mean, China, look, I have great relationships in China, with President Xi in particular, but China has been charging us massive tariffs for many years. That's one of the reasons they were able to steal so many of our companies. They took our companies out of America, and they built their plants in China. And one of those things, so now we're reversing it, but at levels that nobody's ever seen before. No, we're going to get along great with China, I have no doubt about it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press. Thank you.
Well, he went for about 49 minutes. Caroline Leavitt's press conference on Tuesday went for like 42, so he speaks longer than the press secretary. The guy's the Energizer Bunny. I mean, I feel bad for the ladies that were standing behind him. They're like, sir, can you, I gotta go to the bathroom, sir. I've been standing here for 49 minutes, sir. And they just gotta stand there and hope. So he must tell them, hey, listen, when you come in here, make sure you go potty before you get into the presser, because I'm going to be talking for quite some time. Man, the guy can go. He can get, if you want to ask the stupid questions, he'll answer them. You think the tourists are mad? The tourists aren't going to show up anymore? No, I think you're an idiot. That's what I think you are. Oh, boy. Absolutely crazy. Crazy, some of these journalists. Drives me nuts. Nuts. All right, got to show you. In case you haven't seen it, people are buying this Trump blanket. And do I have it correctly? Yeah, E pluribus unum, Donald Trump. Big blanket, big giant blanket. You got a good idea. You can see how wide it is. My hands are 6 feet wide, and I'm stretching it for you so you can see. This Trump blanket is hilarious. Patriot Addict is back with an exclusive release just for Fanfare fans. For a limited time only, they're giving away these Trump presidential blankets absolutely for free. It's free. No hidden charges, no recurring fees, none of that. Just cover a small shipping fee, and it's yours. The blanket is gorgeous, thick, and quite warm. Sometimes people say, Barry, how can you say warm? You live in South Florida. Well, our air conditioning vent in the living room comes right over the couch. And I don't have any hair, and so at night, that air conditioner is cold. And so I'm getting some use out of this because I turned it into like a shawl. And I put it over my head, not front ways, but I put it over my head this way so I can actually sit there and watch TV and have Robin laugh at me and say, call me an old lady. But man, it's cold under the AC because we keep our house somewhere between 69 and 71, depending on what the temperature is outside. 69 to 71 because, number one, I need to be cool in here, so we need to cool off the rest of the house. And she likes it chilly as well. And, of course, the dogs love it. So we keep our house between 69 and 71. And this is the kind of blanket that I would sit there and watch TV. I don't know, it's because I lived in Connecticut. I like the idea of wrapping up when I watch TV. And if I fall asleep and I start snoring, I got the blanket on and I'm going to sleep. So many of you guys are probably like that as well. I digress. It's more than just a blanket. It's a bold symbol of America's comeback and real leadership. And let's be honest, it drives liberals crazy if they saw it. I don't know if they'd see it in my house, but you know what I mean. Patriot Addict is doing this to show their support for Trump in these challenging times and to make room in their warehouse for more stuff. But this offer is only available for Fanfare viewers, and it's moving fast. Don't wait. Scan the QR code right there so you can get yours for free. Just pay shipping. It's a big blanket. I've gotten many emails from people who like the blanket. Just scan the QR code right here and grab yours today. And I've also gotten emails from people who have ordered it and didn't get what they were supposed to get. And right now I can tell you that the customer service people at Patriot Addict are responding fantastically. I mean, I'm getting emails from people going, yes, okay, I got this. They had to reorder it. They gave me a refund. Thankfully, because we're getting so much activity at this point that they had to bring in more customer service. So that's a good thing. Absolutely a good thing. Let me put this over here. All right. We're going to segue into another section of the show here. I want to talk to you about Pam Bondi and DOJ and FBI. All right, so let me put a disclaimer. I should put it on a scroll here so that nobody gives me a hard time. I personally, having lived with Pam Bondi as the Attorney General here in South Florida for the state of Florida, I know she has the goods. I know she can do it. But there are many people, many people who are now getting a little bit antsy. And like, you gotta do something or what? So don't come at me and say, Barry, you gotta keep the faith and all that. That ain't me. I'm telling you right now, I believe she, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino can do the job. But I'm also telling you, and I'm just giving you the report. I'm not underscoring the report. I'm not saying I agree with the report, but many people are saying, tick-tock, tickety-tick-tick-tock-tock. Do something. Some of the people here may be saying the same thing. Some people may be saying, hey, listen, we got to give her more time. It takes time to do these things. Well, some news broke today. Some news that should maybe quell the rumors and dissatisfaction. Don't know if you've heard it yet. So this is what this is. I'm going to show you a couple things that happened today, and then we'll see if what we hope is happening is happening.
The pain written all over the face of Pavel Osokin, as he recalls being told his son Nikolai and his 19-year-old girlfriend Anya Varfolomeev, friends since they were kids, were gone.
They told me there was a horrible incident. My son and his girlfriend, Anya, basically were burned alive in their car. She was my daughter.
Anya's father, Anatoly, got a similar knock on the door that night.
He said Anya's name. I said, yes, it's my daughter. My wife came downstairs and she was screaming and crying. She said, no.
In spring of 2022, a jury convicted Oscar Eduardo Ortega Anguiano on 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. A judge sentenced him to 10 years. But on Easter Sunday, the family say they received this notice from the California Department of Corrections that on July 19th, he'll be getting out.
2 years for killing 2 kids. It's confusing to me. Why you give them 10 if they're going to spend 5 and then 3?
Yeah, 2 young, productive American citizens killed for nothing. And that illegal immigrant who already has been deported twice is going to be released again?
In a statement, the Department of Corrections wouldn't confirm the release, but said in part, quote, incarcerated persons may earn credits for participating in rehabilitative programming, which may move their parole dates to an earlier date. Anya and Nikolai's families are now sending letters to the state, calling for Ortega Anguiano to serve his full sentence.
All those dreams were cut short just by one person who was not even supposed to be on that freeway. I will never forgive this guy. Never, ever.
I hope he's going to stay in prison. I hope he's going to get old in prison. And I hope he's going to get kicked out from our country in the end.
Well, first of all,
all right, so let's set this straight. This guy was deported a couple times, came back again into California, gets drunk, hits somebody, and unalives those 2 beautiful young people. So he goes to jail, still remembering the codicil that he was, not here. He wasn't supposed to be here, was deported twice, came back, and now he's done this. And he's done a couple years in prison in California, and California's like, nah, you get to go. What? Go where? Hopefully Tom Homan's sitting at the gate when this guy walks out. Hopefully they're just waiting for, him to get released, so they're like, you get the big release now. You got released out of this jail. Okay, you did your time for that, but guess what? We owe you some time. You need to go to El Salvador. You crossed the border illegally, and they're going to do it all over again. I can't wait for them in July to get behind this guy, because he's going. He's going.
Listening to the heartache from those 2 parents is truly heartbreaking, and our hearts are with them. And not only are we praying for them, but this administration is taking action. The Department of Homeland Security and ICE have already said that a detainer has been put on this individual if he is to be released, and he will immediately be transferred into ICE custody, we hope, if the state of California complies. And if not, the Department of Justice will be seeking a conviction against this man, where he will spend time in federal prison for taking the lives of those 2 young Americans. So these results speak for themselves. President Trump is not going to tolerate illegal immigrant crime. And this individual case represents everything that is wrong with our immigration system. This individual was twice deported, but was allowed back into our country by the previous administration, took the lives of 2 young Americans, and is now barely facing any consequences. We will not tolerate it. We will not stand for that. And we will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws and ensure that illegal immigrants who not only break our nation's immigration laws, but then further commit heinous acts of violence against law-abiding American citizens in our country are held to the fullest extent of the law.
I got a brief.
All right, so he's supposed to get out of jail in July. Let's see what the state of California does. Do they try to let him out the end of June where nobody's watching? Hopefully that he can get away and scurry into the country? Because they're not even acknowledging that they're going to parole the guy. They're ticked off because it got out that it was a story on Fox. And so now this guy, he's in the crosshairs and everybody's looking for him. They're waiting. And they want to know the day this guy steps out of jail. And they're going to scoop him up, and we're going to start this all over again. All this craziness is going to happen all over again. You can count on it. But at least you heard Caroline Leavitt say, if they can't get rid of him, they're still going to arrest him, and Pam Bondi is going to prosecute him. So you have something to look forward to. Not the big name, but she's going to go after him. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch and Tom Fitton. And Tom Fitton, stand-up guy, definitely in support of President Trump, definitely a conservative, and he had to go to court to sue the Department of Justice to get information on that guy's files, the guy who owned the island, who got unalived in prison. You know what I'm talking about. Whose girlfriend's in prison right now for doing something nobody knows because there's no clients. So he had to sue for information. She wouldn't release the information, which caused some people to go, what? Really?
Update on the Epstein lawsuit. Now, you may recall we filed the lawsuit for the Epstein files. I don't know where they are. I thought they were all going to be released, right? And I talked about it in this video here.
So Judicial Watch just sued for the Epstein files. We want the client lists. We want the documents the Justice Department and the FBI have about this scandal. We've been getting stonewalling, so despite the release of some records, it looks like other records haven't been released yet. Indeed, they haven't responded to our basic FOIA requests for this information. That's why we're in federal court now. The best way to understand what records are available, which records are being held secret, and where did they look for the records is to be in court. And that's where Judicial Watch is, and that's what we specialize in doing, getting secrets from the government they don't want you to know about. And people want to know about the Epstein scandal, and we aim to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so he mentioned a FOIA request. I just wanted to jump in, let you, some of you who may not know what FOIA means. FOIA literally stands for Freedom of Information Act. If you file a FOIA request and it's denied, you can sue because the government is supposed to release documents to you based upon a properly formatted FOIA request. And Tom Fitton knows how to put a FOIA request together.
So we caused a lot of excitement and news in our lawsuit. So interestingly, we get a letter written the same day we filed the lawsuit, and the letter said the following. I quoted it in our tweet here. Let's bring up the tweet. Strange, on the day we filed the Epstein lawsuit, the Justice Department sent us a letter that said they had no records from Attorney General Pam Bondi's office in response to our records request to her office, which is now a part of a federal lawsuit. And this is the quote: for all records of communications between Attorney General Bondi and any other individual or entity regarding any list or other records depicting the identities of clients or associates of Jeffrey Epstein. So I found that strange. You know, the Attorney General said she had the list or the materials on her desk. There are no emails or communications about it with her, by her. And I guess maybe it's possible, but it's curious. And why it is they sent us the letter the same day we filed the lawsuit is also curious. And if I were Attorney General Bondi, I'd say, look, we've got this lawsuit from Judicial Watch. Let's take it seriously. We want to be transparent. And I do think she wants to be transparent. It's just a matter of focusing and getting it done. But let's get it done. Release the records. If there are withholdings, let's withhold it. Let's focus on getting this done. The American people want this information. There's international interest in it. Let's get it done. And sending out letters like this make us look like the gang who couldn't shoot straight. I mean, they make a big deal about having the records on her desk, and then they say they don't have any records concerning these issues on her. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Either there was nothing written to or from her about it, which doesn't make any sense, or they didn't look in the right spot, which is also probably, which is oftentimes likely. We try. We're just trying to help them by filing lawsuits like this, but it's hard, right? And but on the other hand, we sometimes get the documents, and we've been getting some more interest from the Justice Department in getting some of this material released, and I'll talk about that a little bit later.
And that's okay. So he files a FOIA request based upon what she went on television and said. She went on television, if you guys think about it and go back, she said, I got a whole file on my desk. I got all kinds of stuff sitting right here. And then that blew up, and people are like, whoa, hey, where's the stuff? Oh, I haven't looked through it yet, but it's on your desk. Yeah. Okay. And then when all that blew up and everything happened, then, they went to New York and had a truck pull up. And the truck had thousands of pages of documents. You remember that. Now, Tom Fitton sends in a FOIA request, then has to file a lawsuit to back up that FOIA request, and they respond and go, nah, we don't got anything. But you went on television like 55 times and said you got documents. Where are they at? And like Tom's saying, well, okay, were they not there? Do you have them now? Again, not you don't have to make a judgment, but you just have to wonder, as many people are wondering, come on, man. You went on TV, told us you had them. Oh, there's a big stack. He didn't ask for any arrest. He didn't say, show me all the people don't show me all the people you have under investigation, how many grand jury. He didn't ask any of that. Just show me what you already said you have. You already have this, right? Right? Oh, you don't. Oh. Wow, that's concerning, isn't it? Doesn't matter if you're a wait for it type of person or you're a nothing ain't getting done person. You can't look away from the response that she, or her office rather, gave to Tom Fitton. Doesn't matter what side you're on at this point. If you are one of those people who are like, just got to give her time. Or if you're one of those people, she's not worth anything. She's hopeless. Either side, you're looking at Tom Fitton, who showed you, he got a letter from the Department of Justice and said that the documents that you already said you have, you now don't have. So you're not making up anything here. You can make your own mind up in terms of what's going on, but it has nothing to do with an arrest. It has nothing to do who's under investigation. Can we at least trust you that the information you gave on television 97.5 times, is that information correct? And Tom Fitton just found out, no. All right, so then I found this piece yesterday with Glenn Beck and Steve Bannon.
Congress, and they're sitting around like they did after they won the Tea Party. They're going to be responsible for losing this whole thing. They've got to move.
What do you say about the investigations, the deep state, everything we know about Brennan? Okay, talk about that. We only got a couple of minutes. Our audience, the one thing they get furious about is...
I'm pissed.
And Pam and Cash are as good as you get. What's the problem? Your audience the same way, they're steamed?
Oh, yeah. You can do an awful lot of stuff, but until you start putting bad guys in jail, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
And you know a sense of urgency. It's not like we have this forever.
No.
I mean, if Hakeem Jeffries wins in 18 months, which is not outside the possibility of a raise $2 billion,
done.
They're going to impeach Trump right
We're
away.
Done. So where is the DOJ? Okay, I know Cash quite well. I believe Cash. I don't know Pam. Okay, that I'm not throwing dispersions on her, but something's not right. Why aren't you unleashing? Is it the deep state has them by the throat? What is it? But it's got to be solved. You have no...
Is that a message that you think I don't want to get into your private conversation with the president, but is that something you would highlight? That?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think there needs to be a sense of urgency about this?
What does any of it mean?
Why is Congress taking so much time off right now? Traditional 2 weeks of vacations or 2 weeks back to the constituent, they don't have town halls?
I don't know. I mean, it is...
Because collectively they're good people, but as a body...
They're horrible. They're horrible. Absolutely horrible. I honestly, Steve, I can't tell you. I am at a loss for DOJ, and I'm at a loss for Congress. And I'm at a loss on Donald Trump, man. Why aren't you using the bully pulpit to go after your own here? Eat them. Eat them. Tell them, oh, we're watching you. The whole country is watching you. Get to work. Do these things now. Have you seen the clock on the wall and the numbers spinning?
We're burning daylight.
Burning daylight.
Okay, we got two.
Okay, so obviously both of those guys have big audiences. And I'm not just talking about the audience that listen to them on YouTube or the radio. Their big audience is an audience of one. So if Glenn Beck said that, well, not if, Glenn Beck said all that and how he feels, he said that yesterday. Do you know what Glenn Beck is doing? Yeah, right now? Glenn Beck is at the White House doing an interview with President Trump. I got an email into his staff to see if I can show it to you guys tomorrow afternoon. But he's in it because it's behind his paywall. But he has an interview right now, 9 o'clock p.m. with President Trump. I couldn't have had better timing. I was 5 minutes off. Perfect. Perfect. I did the whole show to get to this moment. So that audience of one, not of thousands and millions on television or on Facebook. No, an audience of one. He's going to be right face to face with the big man, the boss, that one man. And if he's that pissed off, before the cameras start going, or maybe while the cameras are start going, he's going to ask him, dude, what the F? Seriously, we're all behind you. We've been behind you. We all know clock's ticking. You can't wait until the midterms. We're toast if you don't get some stuff done. And I would love to hear the answer that President Trump gives him, because that answer is better than anything he's had in a press conference. Mr. Trump, President Trump, what the hell is going on? And if he just said to him, it would be a nice answer, I can't tell you. It's off the record. I'm like, I'm good. So you're saying something's happening. That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay, I'm good. I run back to my studio in Texas if I'm Glenn Beck, and tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. when he hits the air, he can go, I found out. It's happening. He wouldn't tell me, but he looked me in the eye as a man and said, chill. Or he asked a question tonight, and President Trump says, I don't know what's going on. And then tomorrow morning, it's like, oh, hell. Oh, hell. You got the wrong answer. Again, doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. Oh, give Pam Bondi and Cash all the time in the world. I trust them. They're not doing anything. That's not the question at this point. These two guys who are very close to President Trump, who I'm sure they have on speed dial and say, hey, Donnie, what's up? Glenn Beck is at the White House right now. So we're going to find out something in the next probably few hours or tomorrow morning. So after Glenn left, then Steve said this.
The reason the frustration of this audience is all the work and effort to get here, let's do something. Because don't think you're going to be here forever. You can't plan on that. Action, action, action. And I don't care about the FBI counterterrorism force, all that. That's not relevant now. We care about this, and we care about what Tom Fitton's suing about. What does it mean that a guy like Tom Fitton that couldn't be more supportive of people has to go to court and sue? You cannot take advantage of the MAGA movement and what the people that got here and what their priorities are. Their priorities are important, not your priorities, their priorities.
Didn't think of it that way. President Trump, I thought he had a list and they were executing his priorities. Steve Bannon and others have said, we're your priority. We're the ones who put you there. What you gonna do? Now, even like right now, we see people in here in the chat. Oh, I have faith. I have faith. I have faith. Well, you know what? Your faith is going to expire. There is a clock, a countdown clock. Somebody should put one up somewhere. Time before you got to do something. Even Tim Burchett yesterday when I interviewed him. Time, tickety tick tock, tock, tick, tick. But now, I have to wonder, is this entire thing a charade? You're like, Barry, did you bring us through all this stuff just to say it's part of the plan? I don't know. Because what I'm going to show you next is probably going to make you go, oh gosh, what the heck is going on? What is going on? I can't answer. You're going to watch this next 3 minutes and go, after I'm going, yeah, okay, you guys tell me what the hell's going on here. So without further ado, let me go ahead and scramble your noggin. Because this is crazy.
Be blunt. You're there because of them. So their priorities should be your priorities. And that is not the case right now. And that has to change. It has to change. Repeat this. It has to change. It's revolting, disgusting.
A few moments later.
I just had several meetings at the Trump Justice Department. I met with the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, the acting number 3, Chad Mizell, and the incoming number 3, Stanley Woodward. And I want to reassure the War Room posse that they are very much on top of what's happening in our country, right? And just because you're not seeing criminal indictments right now does not mean they're not coming. They are very much incoming.
I want you to go back to that team because that's pretty impressive. This is not President Trump's first term Justice Department. Walk through who the players are, starting with Pam.
So Pam Bondi is the Attorney General. She is a rock solid constitutionalist. She's bold. She's fearless. She's not being flashy about what she's doing behind the scenes. Okay. She is very much doing things behind the scenes.
We love Pam.
Yes.
Okay, who else?
She's great.
She's great.
Todd Blanche.
Fabulous.
The Deputy Attorney General.
Took the president on as a client when nobody else would touch it.
And got ostracized for it. Now these law firms are scrambling for Todd's blessing.
Yes.
Now, let's just put it that way.
Yes.
And, good luck to those law firms, especially law firms like Perkins Coie. Good luck.
So he's the deputy.
He's the Deputy Attorney General. He runs the day-to-day of the department. Chad Mizell is Pam's Chief of Staff, who's also the acting number 3, the acting Associate Attorney General.
Is he going to stay? He's doing a great job as Chief of Staff. Is he going to go to be number 3 and give up Chief? He'll stay as Chief.
He's staying as Chief of Staff, which is more important for Chad. It's just more important. Stanley Woodward is going to be the Associate Attorney General once he gets confirmed.
So he's moving from the White House.
He's already there. He's already there.
Over at DOJ.
Yeah, he's counselor to the AG right now.
And he was Navarro's lawyer.
Yeah, he was Stanley Woodward's. Walt Nada's was Stanley Woodward was Walt Nada's attorney, the co-defendant on the presidential records case. President Trump has a rock-solid team of very good lawyers who are battle-tested, who are loyal to the president and his agenda. They should be.
And the word is from Pam and the team is that, hey, we're not going to screw any of these things up. We don't want to hurry it. Things are happening. Stand by.
Justice is definitely coming. Let me just assure the War Room posse, justice is coming, and there's going to be accountability for this unprecedented Republican-ending lawfare where the Biden Justice Department was politicized and weaponized. There's going to be accountability for a lot of these crimes. It takes time to build these crimes. Kash Patel is there. He's doing a hell of a good job. So is Dan Bongino, his deputy. Justice is coming. So just because we don't see it publicly does not mean it's not happening. I know it's happening.
Those were sequential. What you just watched was a chronological sequence of clips where Steve Bannon and Glenn Beck were ready to rip off people's heads, and then Steve Bannon was by himself was ready to rip off people's heads, and then the final clip was Mike Davis telling him, don't worry, everything's under control. That's why I had a question mark. Is it really happening? I don't know. I don't know what you think after seeing that. Is it really happening? I have no idea. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And what you just saw, you guys saw it, you have to decide, was that entire sequence an act? Were they trying to play good cop, bad cop, or did they finally realize, hey, yeah, it's happening? I can't answer that. My job is just to show it to you. Yeah. No, we're going to do this. Oh, this is awful. Hey, we're running out of time. This is crazy. And yeah, it's happening. I don't know. It's crazy. But like I said, Glenn Beck is at the White House right now talking to President Trump, doing an interview. Maybe he'll get something out of him. But this is a roller coaster of epic proportions. I don't know what to think. I don't know how I could know what to think. Like some of you guys just have to, I guess that's all you have to go on at this point, is just, hey, he put the right people in place. They're working on it. It's weird. It's very, very weird. And I'm not going to tell one person over here who's pissed or this person over here who says, wait, because right now you both might be right. I have no idea who's right or who's wrong. And even there's no reason to get argumentative in the chat. Nobody knows. Don't know. This is some clandestine James Bond 007 kind of stuff. Don't have any clue. And you can almost see Steve Bannon. The roller coaster he went on in that, the course of like 6 minutes. Him and Glenn Beck were ready to like go nuts. Then Steve comes on and goes nuts. And then he has to sit back and goes, oh, okay, so they're getting it done, yeah. This is crazy. This is crazy. Just relax, like Trump said the other day that you pointed out. Yeah, enjoy life. At this point, enjoy life. We could argue. We could go back and forth. I'm going to be talking to Kyle Seraphin and Steve Friend, and they're talking about what's going on with the FBI, and they've got ideas. And I'm like, at this point, you see what they're trying to do with Pete Hegseth with all the leaking? Do you find it odd that there's nothing being leaked from the Department of Justice or FBI, even with all the disapproval and with certain people being fired? There's nothing coming out of that office. And I find that extremely odd. Nothing. Tight. Like a drum. Nothing in the media. Nothing that says they're unhappy with this person or unhappy with that person, or there's some signal chat. Nothing. It's complete radio silence except when Pam Bondi goes on Fox or something. But other than that, excuse me, nothing. I'll never believe that Dan Bongino is a sellout. 75% of the country supports MAGA. We need to find a way to mobilize and help in a positive way. Yeah, it's absolutely it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely. So I didn't want to tease you guys and say something is happening. So the only thing I could say was, I don't know. Is something happening? Some of you will believe Mike Davis. Some of you will say Mike Davis is lying and it is all this. But at least you have some more information now. Now you got some information because Mike Davis is the first one Mike Davis is credible. And he's the first person I've heard who's actually talked to the DOJ and said, yes, something is happening. I don't know. And it's kind of scary because none of us actually knows what the heck is going on. So anyone who does a show and tries to pretend to you like they know, they don't know. There are no leaks. Nobody knows what's going on. So I guess I'm not saying keep the faith. I'm not saying she's got to go. I'm just saying do what you need to do at this point. Stick a sock in it. Enjoy the movie because something... Let's see what Glenn Beck has to say. Maybe Glenn's got some stuff for us to talk about tomorrow. Before I get to the 10, let me tell you about 1775 coffee. Have you ever drank a cup of coffee that makes you actually feel younger? That's what 1775 coffee can do. I know it because I don't even like coffee, and because I don't like coffee, I have to choke stuff down all the time. But it actually, with the way Robin makes it for me, it tastes pretty good. 1775's rejuvenated coffee is a bulk dark roast infused with something called CA-AKG. CA-AKG. And you're like, Barry, What in the heck is CA-AKG? It's calcium alpha ketoglutarate. And it's not a bad thing. It's not something that RFK Jr. is going to come after you for. That same compound studied and has been proven to reverse biological age by up to 8 years. It fuels your cells, it sharpens your mind, and it supports long-term strength, all without popping a cabinet full of supplements or drinking swap water in a bottle. I don't really mind drinking the coffee. I've gotten used to it because this isn't lab junk. You guys always ask me, and that's why I'm pushing different supplements, is because I can't sit here. We're almost at 2 hours. By the time we're done, we're going to be probably right at about 3 hours again. So I'm out there doing six hours plus of videos per day. And I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm hard to do everything to give me more energy. This coffee has no mystery blends, just real single origin small batch coffee roasted weekly with one powerful proven ingredient. And here's the best part. When you buy from 1775 Coffee, you're backing free speech, freedom of choice, and a company that backs the same creators and values that you do. No corporate overlords, just great products made for people who still believe in something real. Go to 1775coffee.com and grab their anti-aging longevity roast and use code BARRY for 15% off. Feel sharper, stronger, younger, and know that you're fueling the companies that actually give a hoot about your health and freedom. We'll be right back in 90 seconds.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Feel much better now, if you know what I mean. All right, so we're going to close up here. I've got a 10 spot for you tonight. It's a little bit longer 10 spot because I had a lot to cover here. And I've decided sometimes, tonight was being one of those, that I'm only going to feature positivity. If I can get enough stuff in that is all about positivity, that's what I want to cover on the 10 spot for the most part. Sometimes because they're getting so boring in terms of the lib nuts. Sometimes there's some funny stuff which I'll bring in, but today I'm going to try and give you guys a message for the evening. It's 9:23 at night, so we're going to go through this and hopefully it's some positivity.
Here's the big finish. 10 stories that you just gotta hear. Number 10.
These tariffs are not going to be forever. This is a game of chicken. Two economies colliding with each other, one cheating and stealing and one not. At some point, you got to resolve the issue. And I think at some time in the near future, Xi is going to call Trump and say, okay, where do you want to meet? You want to go to Geneva?
Is he? Because whenever you hear somebody talk about this, who knows China, who knows Xi, knows Chinese culture, they say he'll never call. Never. He cannot lose face. I mean, any communist country leader would be this way, and that includes him, that they just can't. He can't lose face. That's the last thing he'll do. And now Trump has to find a way of going to him. But, Trump's kind of like that himself as well.
Hey, Megan, I think you're missing something. One of the best things when you're negotiating with somebody, if that other person is concerned about losing face, you make it so that the deal doesn't appear that you've lost face. I'm pretty sure President Trump doesn't care how the deal gets done, whether or not he has to euphemize it and make it palatable and put some sugar on top with RFK Jr.'s approval, make it look like China didn't cave, but they did. And so he's an astute enough business person where I'm sure, hey, we came to a mutual agreement, and here's what we've decided to do, even though he dragged China kicking and screaming to the table.
Well, I can assure you within the Communist Party of China, there is a bunch of narrative going on about how long do they want to do this, because the only reason you stay in power in a communist society as a supreme leader is everybody's fed. They can take care of their families and they have jobs in factories. Now, what you could do, even though they're not making rubber mats anymore because they're all sitting on the water, no one's going to buy them. There aren't enough markets big enough to replace the American consumer. There just aren't. So at the end of the day, you got to start asking yourself, okay, if I'm Xi, do I print money so that I can pay these workers and then have hyperinflation where a loaf of bread, goes up 1,000%, the Venezuelan model? Or do I work something out with Trump so all this stuff we've made can get back into the market, including that woman's, rubber bib? I mean, somebody's got to buy that. There's not enough people around the world to buy that, except you got to have the 39% of the consumers are sitting in America. That's who's going to sell the product. That's why I would think at some point, because I'm a pragmatic guy. Again, I look at the policy. I know there's a lot of politics here, but if I'm Xi, I'm thinking, okay, how do I save face on this deal? What do I do here to get things going again so the stuff on the boats gets to America with no tariffs on it? All the Europeans have the guys in England right now today are saying, okay, let's drop our tariffs on agriculture so we can start shipping grain in both directions, whatever they want out of ag. German car parts, we talked about that. All of these guys are working this out. Xi has to do that too. Now, is it going to take 2 weeks? Is it going to take 2 months? I don't know, but I guarantee you there's no scenario where Xi can outlast the American consumer, because that's really what you're talking about, Megan. At the end of the day, can he really cut himself off from the largest consumer market on earth? No. And so I'm on the camp that says, okay, let's see how long this game of chicken lasts. But would I like to resolve this thing once and for all? Let me speak on behalf of millions of investors and entrepreneurs in America. Yes, I want to do business in China. I'm willing to compete with Chinese on a level playing field, and I want to open the markets up. Yes. I have nothing against the Chinese people. I don't like their government. I don't like their policy. And if you're not going to change the government, then let's cut a deal to have a reciprocal tariffs or no tariffs, but definitely access to the markets, and definitely got to play by the rules. I would like to raise money in Hong Kong. I would like to approach their markets. I don't want to have my IP stolen. I don't want a 51% Chinese partner. We don't force that on Chinese companies here. But I'm telling you, it's time to clean this mess up once and for all. And yeah, it's uncomfortable and the ebb and flow and the volatility. But I say to everybody, chillax. Let this administration get this thing done and let's move on, because the last 20 administrations never dealt with it. This one is, you may hate Trump. You may have Trump derangement syndrome. I feel your pain for that. I don't care, because that's not what matters. It's the policy.
See, that's one of the things where I don't think a lot of people think from a business perspective. It's emotional. My stuff from Temu or Alibaba might cost too much. And you're freaking out because you started an e-commerce store and decided you were going to buy trinkets from China for like 8 cents and then sell them in America for $10. It's not how it's going to work anymore. Sorry, might need a different business model. That's how it's going to be. And so at this point, how can I say this? Any of you that have traveled, if you've gone to Europe, if you've gone to the Middle East, wherever you have traveled, what happens when you pull out that green dollar? Oh, people pay attention. Oh, you're American. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they want that green dollar. That's not going to change. They cater to Americans. I'm sorry if that sounds bad, if it sounds America first or isolationist. It's always been that way. I've traveled to quite a few international countries. And before you do the exchange rate, you always keep a few bucks behind, because when you go to a restaurant or you go to some place and want to buy, especially in a market, and you just like show it, and you take out some cash, and you've got the European cash, and then they see the green bill. Love to show that. Love to show people that. And you just have them, oh, how much? Oh, and you show them you're in your wallet. Because nobody ever picks their wallet up like this, but I do. And I'm like, okay, okay, what are these things? Oh, you take American money. I take American money. Oh, yeah. They need America. They want America. So they cannot outlast us. So given the earlier show today, when I told you, who are these people serving? What's their master? Because you would think that the media would be talking about that and saying, they can't outlast us. They can't fight with us. It can't happen. But no, they're screaming in every press conference, tariff, 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 tariff. You're being idiots. They can't beat the American dollar. So eventually, don't know how long it's going to take, China has no choice but to cave in.
9.
I think the big question people have is, you've been a Democrat. You ran as a Democrat, obviously, for your first term as mayor. You recently announced you were running now as an independent. So tell me what went into that decision.
A combination of things, but the way this terrible case, I like to say bogus case, was put in place, it really collided and crashed up against the primary petition presentation. And so we wanted a longer runway to really communicate with voters. This has overshadowed the success of turning around our city. And this gives me the time to communicate one-on-one with voters. And it was, it was a tough decision. We have to make the right strategic decisions.
So running as an independent, are there things that you would do differently in the future as mayor? What does an independent leadership here in New York City look like? When
you look at this city, you hear from a lot of coverage, you would think outside the city, as I hear from other mayors, that the city's out of control. That's not the reality. You saw 5 straight quarters of decreasing crime. This quarter, we saw the lowest number of shooters in the recorded history of this city, second lowest number of homicides. We have 4.6 million people on our subway system, an average of 5.5 felonies a day on our subway system at a 4.6 million. More jobs in the city's history, more small businesses operating, housing. You're seeing a city that made an amazing recovery in spite of 240-something thousand migrants and asylum seekers that came into the city that we had to spend $7.5 billion on to follow the federal laws and the city laws. And so I need to continue doing what I have done. And that is what I'm focused on doing.
So, in case you didn't know, that was current Mayor Eric Adams from New York City. So I'm just going to paint you a picture. Here's a picture of a guy who was attacked by Biden and Merrick Garland because he wouldn't play along with the newcomers. And they tried to put him in jail because he wouldn't do what they wanted him to do. And then a very prominent New Yorker happened to announce, I'm going to run for mayor of New York. That was Andrew Cuomo. And then, all of a sudden, the Department of Justice opens an inquiry about charging Andrew Cuomo. Coincidence? Coincidence that all happened, and then Eric Adams shows up on Lear Trump show? Laura Trump. Coincidence? The Trump DOJ drops the charges. He decides to run as an independent so he doesn't have to deal with the Democrat nut jobs. Andrew Cuomo says, I'll be the Democrat and run against him. And then he gets taken out with a possible DOJ felony charge. Yeah, coincidence. Yeah, huh? Wow.
Number 8.
Right now, if you look at the top of the educational hierarchy, Harvard, what have we seen over the last few years? They are at the absolute bottom of the rankings with respect to free speech. They have lost all of these cases all the way up to the Supreme Court about how they do admissions. Harvard doesn't just have a front door. It's got a bunch of side doors, got a bunch of back doors, and they discriminate. And what is the opposite of discrimination? It's meritocracy. And I think with 20 plus years of discrimination, what Harvard...
See, I wanted to pause right there. Time out. Love that. The opposite of discrimination is meritocracy. I can't discriminate if people are worthy of a certain position. We're not just putting our thumbs on the scale. That person got admitted, that person got promoted at a job because of merit, not because of DEI, not because of some inverted discrimination.
Was made it fashionable for other schools to discriminate. And if you compound that for 20 years, it doesn't just touch the universities, it starts to touch the high schools and the middle schools. Where we live, at the beginning of COVID, we had some morons at the Board of Education decide to take away AP Calculus and AP Math because it made people feel bad. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then we pound these kids with ADHD pills, and what happens is what you described, Tim. So what is the point of fixing Harvard? It's really important because the opposite of what they do is discriminate, is a meritocracy. And we need to make that fashionable again. And the biggest reason goes back to, again, I'll just go back to the chip conversation. The Chinese are so well organized. If you look at the Chinese and the Indians together, those are 2.5 billion people swimming in a meritocratic soup from the day they're born. That's the only way they climb out. And it's eat or be eaten. And then when they graduate from an education system that is purely meritocratic, you know what they do? They enter a workforce that's also meritocratic. So it's compounded into their psyche that you just have to perform. Whereas what we do is we do all of these fake things that make people feel really bad about themselves. They look at other people that think that shouldn't deserve to be in places, get places. And so we have to turn that tide. And so whatever it takes, the most severe and extreme measures must be undertaken to fix this.
Numbers.
That is from the All In podcast, and the guys that are on that podcast are multimillionaires and billionaires, and they give you a straight scoop. Some of them like Trump. One of the guys doesn't like Trump, but they call it as it is. And they're talking about finally the United States going back to a meritocracy, tossing all this DEI out, tossing all this affirmative action crap out. If you got the goods, you win. If you can beat me, you win. That's how it should be. Shouldn't be people putting their thumb on the scale and trying to make something happen for a group of people that you feel have been, oppressed. The hell with that. I should be able to run right next to you. I should be able to compete with you and let the better person win. Period. And for some reason, the Democrats don't want that. Oh, I know why. It's communism.
7.
Do you still have confidence in the secretary?
Look, I have 100% confidence in the secretary. I know the president does, and really the entire team does. It's one of the most bizarre things about the Hegseth nomination. From the very beginning, the media seemed to want to tank it. And when they failed and they got confirmed, they decided they wanted to keep on that effort to destroy Pete Hegseth as a man, as the Secretary of Defense. I think he's doing a great job. I think that he's brought a certain spirit back to the Department of Defense. And if you look at our military recruitment numbers, that's, in my view, the best testament to his leadership of the military is that for the first time in a very long time, we don't have terrible recruitment problems in the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. That's a great testament to his leadership. And I wish, frankly, the press talked more about that and not about anonymous sourcing from random staffers.
So we've heard the president give a glowing support for Pete Hegseth. Now you've heard the vice president give glowing support for Pete Hegseth. Story should be over. There's no one else to ask. Who is it that you want to ask next? Some private? If the two top people have now told you, that's it, we're done, he's staying. The story should be over. But every single night they're still talking about it. You know why? Because they don't have anything else to talk about. Nothing. Asking questions about tariffs and Pete Hegseth. Other than that, they've got nothing to talk about. Except for the Maryland man.
6.
A chart that shows the day we release the plan, and you can begin to see the cost of eggs going down over the last, again, 5 to 6 weeks. From the day we released the plan in early February, the price of eggs, of wholesale eggs, is down 56%. So that's about an $8.30 per dozen ish, down to about a $3.50 ish per dozen eggs. So we're seeing.
I want to clarify something. Well, not clarify, emphasize something she said. Because every time we talk about pricing, people say it's still high here, still high there. Notice what she said. There was a word she said that you needed to focus on. She said the wholesale price. We've gotten the wholesale price down, which means the retail price at the store, whichever stores you go to, they should commensurately be lowering their price. But we have heard from blue areas that that's not happening. They are artificially keeping the prices high so you can be demoralized. And it allows them to make more profit. You know how they always talk about price gouging? Well, if your wholesale prices dropped 56%, why hasn't your retail price dropped 56%? Except for you're playing politics. Down here, one of the scariest places to do stuff in terms of expenses. Our gas, plummeting. We're driving, I'm like, look at the price of the gas. Going into the store, or rather online, our price of eggs and everything else, much cheaper. The price you're being charged as a retailer from the wholesaler should reflect that savings. So if it's not going down, if you're one of the people who say it's not going down here, then you might want to ask someone at the store, where are you getting your stuff? Because everybody I talk to online, and I hear from the press, it's down 56%. Who are you getting your eggs from? You're buying them from the wrong place. Unless it's being artificially inflated.
A great trend. The retail prices will soon catch up. They're already caught up in a lot of the parts of the country. But we continue to focus on making groceries affordable again. And I think the president's vision on this is working.
Number 5.
Well, the Democrat Party is full-blown crazy. Their motto should be illegal immigrant criminals first and American citizens last.
Oh, she didn't mince her words, did she? The Democrat Party is full-blown crazy. Yes, I agree.
Because that's exactly what they are doing. You have seen Democrat elected officials who swear an oath to stand up for their constituents and law-abiding American citizens spending more time advocating for illegal alien criminals, gangbangers, and wife beaters in the case of Abrego Garcia from Maryland. It's despicable, it is disgusting, and we are going to continue to call them out, and this administration is going to continue to fully enforce our nation's immigration laws. And how can we live in a sovereign country where the previous president, Joe Biden, was allowed to illegally traffic tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country, and the courts did nothing to stop him? But now you have President Trump, who was duly elected overwhelmingly by the American people to deport these illegal criminals from our communities, and you have rogue district court judges that are trying to stop him at every turn. It's unacceptable. And I will remind these district court judges and the Democrat Party that 90% of the American people support deporting illegal immigrants who commit crimes in the interior of our country. That's according to a latest Washington Post poll. So the president will not only win in the court of law, but he is winning in the court of public opinion. And he is delivering on his promise to secure our homeland.
Number.
It's coming. It's coming. If 90% of the people support this, the Democrats and the judges are in big trouble, because he's going to keep doing it. He's going to keep deporting them, and there's nothing they can do about it. Listen here.
4.
We have, almost $1.7 trillion in student debt. And none of the collections have been made since March of 2020. So it's time to have people be accountable again for their debts. But we're not trying to make it difficult for anyone. So there are many options that those who have outstanding loans can go to. They should go to studentaid.gov to find out. We have longer hours for them to call to find out if they have other options. We have actually an AI Aiden that can answer questions for them. So we're trying to put lots of plans in place so that people who do have loans outstanding can bring themselves up to date. You know, we have over 5 million people that are in default. And that means their credit scores are affected. If they want to buy a home or buy a car, it's very difficult for them. So we'd like to help them get out of default, but at the same time, this is something they owe. This is money they borrowed to go to school, and other taxpayers shouldn't have to pay this burden. I think that's very clear.
That's very clear. You borrowed it, not me. I'm sorry, you thought you were sold a bill of goods by the Democrats and they were going to let you go scot-free, and now you've got to pay for a loan that you took out for a degree that only qualifies you to serve coffee at Starbucks. Not my problem. Not your problem. If that's what you did with your life for the last 4 years and you majored in activism, then I'm sorry, that's too bad. Ask Harvard, ask Princeton for a refund. You're unqualified to do anything. Hopefully you just got qualified enough to pay back your darn loan. Don't ask us. We didn't take it out. How can you expect to ask hardworking Americans who have to pay their car payments, pay their rent, pay their mortgage, buy their groceries, and say, pay my student loan, please? It's absurd. Democrats just, it's crazy.
Number 3.
Yesterday, the president said this, and I quote, "We cannot give everyone a trial because to do so would take, without exaggeration, 200 years. Now, the court has said that those subject to the statute needed to be given the opportunity to challenge their removal. To me, I interpret that as a sense of due process. How do you interpret that?
I think due process was given, like the Maryland father, the MS-13 terrorist that was removed. He had due process. He was ordered removed by 2 different immigration judges. But here's what they're doing. But here's the plan. The Biden administration overwhelmed the system. 10.5 million people came to the border. They know it's going to take years to get through the court docket. By then, they're hoping there's another Democratic administration in. They'll have U.S. citizen children. Then all of a sudden, nobody wants them removed. We're spoiling their plans to have future Democratic voters and through a census, have control of the House. Through a census vote, Democratic sanctuary cities get more seats in the House. This is their plan. That's why they overwhelmed the system. That's why they didn't detain them. When they detain them, they get a hearing in 35 days. They released them. Now it's going to take 5 to 7 years. They're going to keep playing this game through the immigration courts, through appeal after appeal after appeal, district judge to slow us down, because their hopes is they'll gain power again, then they can warrant amnesty to 10 million illegal aliens that are released in this country illegally. That is their plan, and we're trying to remove these public safety threats and national security threats as quick as possible. They're putting every roadblock imaginable in front of us to prevent us from doing that.
But he's still going to continue doing it. That's the part that people are missing. So this constitutional crisis they keep talking about, it's coming. He's about to ignore all this stuff and just keep getting rid of them, and there's nothing they can do about it. Nothing. Except run to the media and call it a constitutional crisis. But if 90% of the people are for this, it won't matter. At this point, it's going to be a complete reset. It's going to be Lincoln style in terms of how he's going to approach this. It's coming. Brace yourself for it.
40% of Americans don't trust mainstream media. Why is that? How did we get here?
Listen, we are seeing a huge loss in trust of all of our institutions. It's the media, it's medicine, it's banking. It's a huge problem because when you think about democracy and all of these pillars, they need to stand tall, they need to stand strong, and sort of losing that trust is not by accident, it's by design. If you remember when President Trump was running the first time, Steve Bannon once said, the goal is to blow the whole thing up. And so I think that you've got mistakes made or things starting to slip, while at the same time there's a concerted effort to destroy the media. Because the media, the news media, is, in my opinion, the last line of defense of holding power accountable, right? And you had a bit of a perfect storm, right? President Trump won, and tons of people were shocked or angry or frustrated, and they're tuning out. And at the same time, you have the Elon Musk media machine, because they want you to leave traditional media and they want you to go to X. which is a bastion of misinformation, where there is
bastion of misinformation is X. This is Stephanie Rule, a anchor on MSNBC. And she's worried about the failure of media, and she's talking to an obvious other lib guy who has some brains about him. It's like, I think you're missing this. I think you're missing the boat, Steph.
no fact checking. So it's a perfect storm of people saying, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm tuning out, I'm disconnecting. And then you have a force pushing it. But even in the last 2 weeks, what we need to do is just cover what's happening in America, right? We have to cover Democrats trying to figure out what their lane is and how they're going to get back on their feet. And we have to simply cover what this White House is doing. And I think if we do that, right, there's that saying, you know, trust is gained in raindrops and it's lost in buckets. And it's not yes, you're not incorrect that the media has lost trust.
This is where I would push back. When I see this kind of insight and passion being directed at the current administration and a lack of this kind of insight and passion being directed at the previous administration, where, again, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about left-leaning news media organizations were kind of like, la, 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 everything's fine, look, the environment's, look, the economy's great, la, 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 immigration's not that much of a problem, and really being Cleopatra, queen of denial, thank you, boom.
Yeah. Oh, so you do a podcast and you invite somebody on who completely embarrasses you. He told you you're a liar. In no uncertain terms, he said, you lie. Sorry, you lie. So following that up with, they lie, let's talk or listen to someone who saw it firsthand, who went into the belly of the beast yesterday. Tim Pool.
Number one.
I was asked at the last minute if I would like to take the new media seat, to which I said yes. And my question is not a softball. Just because, let me explain this problem, okay? To all the people right now, I'm trending, they're all talking about it. Some are happy, some are mad. The corporate press lies, okay? I just showed you this man admitted to being from El Salvador. This is not in question. He admitted to being removable. He admitted to entering unlawfully. He did get a withholding of deportation. That's not being disputed. Why is the media using the phrase Maryland man to refer to a guy from El Salvador who is only here illegally? They are doing it because they are factual but not truthful. It is a fact the man, for now, is illegally residing in Maryland. But that does not make him a Maryland dad. It makes him an illegal immigrant arrested in Maryland. And if that's the narrative they went with, an illegal immigrant arrested in Maryland, Abrego Garcia, I wouldn't be having this conversation with all of you right now. The point that I was bringing up to this secretary, to the press secretary, was that the media in this room is largely composed of an uncurious group of people who do not investigate, and they use each other as sources and say the same narrative. Not a single one of them is concerned about the fact that they didn't actually pull up the court documents and that they're falsely representing that this man is, quote, from Maryland. And it is so egregious, in fact, that Hassan Piker, one of the biggest streamers on the left, did not know. I'm not kidding. I'll play the video for you. He was absolutely unaware that Abrego Garcia was an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. And if you want
well, you think about that. A huge streamer on YouTube or Twitch, I'm not really sure which one he's on, but he honestly didn't know that this guy was an what do you want to call him here on YouTube? A newcomer? He didn't know. So they're repeating the lie enough where it's actually saturating people who try to be free thinkers who don't know the truth. And like Tim said, they don't do any research. I still have the court documents saved on my browser. Nobody on the left even wanted to look. I've got them right there. That says he was found to be and admitted a verified MS-13. They kept saying there's no evidence. He didn't get due process. I'm looking at the due process. I've showed you the due process. These are not reporters. They are communist agents as far as I'm concerned. And all they're trying to do is obfuscate PSYOP, MK Ultra, mix it all together and BS America. Sorry. Now, I said I was going to show good news. Well, here's some good news that the Democrats, they're starting to scurry. Check this out.
The decision of whether to run for re-election has not been easy. I truly love the job of being United States Senator, but in my heart, I know it's time to pass the torch. So I'm announcing today that I will not be seeking re-election at the end of my term. The people of Illinois have honored me with this responsibility longer than anyone elected to the Senate in our state's history. I'm truly grateful. Right now, the challenges facing our country are historic and unprecedented. The threats to our democracy and way of life are very real, and I can assure you I'll do everything in my power to fight for Illinois and the future of our country every day of my remaining time in the Senate. I've given over half of my life to House and Senate congressional service. I've always tried to stand up to power on behalf of the people of Illinois and our country, but none of it would have been possible without my wife Loretta, our kids, Christine, Paul, and Jennifer, and my energetic and amazing grandchildren, as well as my extended family. They stood with me and accepted the demands of my public career. I've been blessed to have them, as well as the best Senate staff anyone could ask for. My Senate colleague, Tammy Duckworth, is a trusted friend and an effective leader. She'll be a real asset to Illinois and the nation as our state's senior senator. We're also fortunate to have a strong Democratic bench ready to serve. We need them now more than ever. To the Illinoisans who gave this kid from East St. Louis a chance to serve, thank you for supporting me through the words and actions over the years. Now that I have this announcement behind me, I need to get back to work.
So Dick Durbin has decided he's out. Mitch McConnell, he's out. That's two big seats in the Senate right there. The midterms are going to be quite interesting. Why he decided right now to say sayonara, I don't know. But let's just see how many of these people decide, it's time to walk away. It's going to be interesting. Now, obviously, Illinois has long been a Democrat stronghold. I'm sure they'll find some nut that they can run as a Democrat. You would think there's somebody, some Republican, somebody in MAGA who could do something about this. So Ashley has booked the guys from Chicago Flips Red. We're going to have them on. I'm going to ask them about that. I'm going to say, listen, Dick Durbin's quitting. Who are you guys going to get behind? Who has a chance to flip Chicago red, Illinois red? We'd love to know who it is that you think can step in and actually make a game of it. And then we need to find out from, the RNC, are you going to support somebody? You're going to support someone for that seat that Dick Durbin has given up. We need to grab every single opportunity we possibly can. I don't know what MAGA people are in Ohio, but Illinois, but we're going to have to find out. We're going to, let's see here. No, Dick, we need MAGA for Illinois. Absolutely. Maybe they know something we don't. You mean like Pam Bondi style? World War III is starting. If you watched my show from earlier, you already know we're in it. Dirtiest man alive is Durbin. Blago. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting if Rod Blagojevich could be a senator. If he could get people behind him, that would be very interesting. It has a lot to do. I'm MAGA in Chicago. Tell us who should be the nominee to go after, because it's going to be vacant. They don't call it Illinois for nothing. I hope it flips red, but they are so corrupt. I'm from Illinois, but I moved out. Dick Durbin had something to do with blocking that list. At some point, rumor had it time he might be on the list. Whew. Don't know. But it's interesting that in April, he's decided I'm done. I'm out. I'm not going to do this anymore. Blago maybe. Thank you, Barry, for not having 9 libnut stories. No, I didn't want to go there today because it was just crazy. So I had good stuff. And I even consider the Dick Durbin thing good because he's leaving and he's getting out of everything. So Check this out. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day, I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, just want to let you know what's coming up tomorrow. The afternoon show. I've got, make sure I say his name right, Hans Monkey, doing an interview with Hans Monkey tomorrow. And we also have Monica, I have to ask her what her name is, Monica Page, who just recently got married and got some marriage advice from President Trump. She will be on as well. So Monica Page will be here tomorrow. And we'll be able to talk to her and see how things are going for her and her new marriage. That would be interesting. All right, let's look at the super chats and we can get out of here. That's a good idea. Can you interview Steve Hilton, who is running for California governor? That would be a good one. That would definitely be a good one. Thanks, Job for 9. We'll look into that. Ladybug, the liberals have been using the fog machine for years. Trump is blowing away the fog, so people need to start seeing through the fog. Same in Canada. I agree with you. Buddy Sanders, thanks, Barry, for the great work. Thank you for watching. Kent Fish, if you believe in God, you have to believe in Trump. Fight for your faith to make America great again. I love what America is going to become. I'm Ozzy. Okay, great. Philippine Island and USA Adventures. Tropical Tim in the Philippines, we're celebrating our 50 golden wedding anniversary this October. Congratulations. Oh, that gets the applause there. Very nice. 50 years. Oh, wow. We're in, let me get this right. Of course, she hears me. In July, we're at 32 years. With Robin. Arizona, hey buddy, haven't seen you. Barry, you will never get through to some people because they believe that they are meant to be poor. They are satisfied using victimhood instead of using hard work. People take easy instead of hard. I understand that. Yes, I do understand that. Don Harmoning, thank you. Cheryl Key, thank you very much. Let me go with this again. Thank you. It says, thanks, Barry, Robin, and Ashley, and all the mods for all the great shows. Us two elderly Texans love and appreciate all your honest and informative shows. We love you. Thank you very much, Cheryl. Ernest Spencer, at 82, I actually remember when there was a real investigative journalist. Been a long time ago. Holly Gotts, thank you. Thomas Maloney, Thornton Maloney. Spam Blondie's gotta go. Ladybug from Canada, Pam and Cash are working behind the scenes on this big terrible thing that will be released soon. Possible evidence for arrest in DC. That's my bet. Chapo may be using files as hostage or dead man switch. Interesting. Mark of reality. All federal indictments come from federal grand juries. Federal grand juries operate in secret. Read it, Constitution, and chill. Yeah, but you have to wonder, is it going to be a Washington, D.C. grand jury? God bless America. The rest of this magnitude could spark war with China. It's all intertwined. Election fraud, trafficking, everything. I agree. Neo, why be like MSM and dog on Cash and Pam? Pray. I'm not dogging. Didn't hear me dog one time. I want to make sure people know I did not say anything negative about Pam, Cash, or Dan Bongino. Maximus, where'd that go? It takes an average. Wait a minute. Okay, here we go. Maximus, Barry, the FOIA may have been blocked because someone on the list may be getting a case put on them. Good point. Very good point. Maximus, again, it takes an average of 5 to 8 months for a case, especially someone like a politician. The one question I have with that is, it may take 5 to 8 months to put a case together if you don't have anything. Are you telling me that Jim Jordan and all the House committees didn't have any information? Nothing? Was it started from scratch? Could be. Tommy Radcliffe, it's been 93 days since our president came in. Are you kidding me, Bannon? You're about as correct on this as you are about your choice of church. We are the body of Christ, not St. Peter's. Again, Glenn Beck tonight at 9 o'clock. It's probably over, but maybe he has posted it online. Daryl Coda, Dems full-blown crazy. Oh, girl. He's talking about Caroline Levitt. Laura Gray, I'm very happy with Pam, Cash, and Dan. Way to go. Stray shot. Barry, Chicago elects both the Illinois senators. We're working on getting the world's largest pry bar and remove Lake, Will, Cook, and DuPage counties. Get to work. And ask Scott Pressler. John Owens, Mega, and Mrs. D, can you interview Mike Davis? I think Ashley has reached out to Mike Davis. He's on like everybody's podcast, so it might be something that it's, he's got too much on his schedule, but we're trying. We're continually trying to get more people on the show and bring you guys as many people who are doing it right now. All right, so Cynthia says, years I've been told to make it airtight. Is there a way to group together to take down the mainstream media? Yeah, Rumble is really trying to do that. After Barry goes off, check out Next News Network. Gary was there covering the town hall. Blago was there. Okay, Blago was there. Why aren't the GOP doing anything? I don't know. They're on vacation, I guess. I guess that's what they say. They're on vacation. Who knows? Whatever. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. We got to hope that everything happens and pray about it. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for the second show. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. After party to follow.